Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Minnesota hockey phenomenon Henry Boucher, a legend both on and off the ice, has died at age 72. The Rink Live and the Star Tribune reported that family members confirmed Boucher died Monday. Boucher, who was Ojibwe, was a star player for Warroad High School, leading them to the state tournament in 1969, where they reached the title game before falling to Edina in overtime. Boucher played in the 1972 Winter Olympics, earning a silver medal with the U.S. team. He then played in the NHL with the Detroit Red Wings and the Minnesota North Stars, wearing his trademark headband in the days before helmets were required. It was during a game with Minnesota in January 1975 that a Boston Bruins player speared him in the eye with his stick and permanently damaged his eyesight. It effectively ended Boucher's pro career, although he did play with Minnesota's u.s.a. Fighting Saints, and ended his career with the NHL's Kansas City Scouts, moving with them to become the Colorado Rockies, where he retired. Those who knew him say he was never bitter or angry about the attack. Boucher continued to play hockey for a few years. He later returned to Warroad, where he sold real estate and owned a restaurant. I really got to know him when I started coaching one of his sons, Henry Jr. in Pee Wee hockey, said son Shogabay, who, like Boucher, is Ojibwe. He played hockey in Warroad nearly 2 decades after Boucher. Warroad's Henry Boucher, shown here being interviewed at the Met Sports Center during the 1969 state tournament. Photo by the Minneapolis Tribune, courtesy of the Minnesota Historical Society. Shogabay said Boucher was a beacon for Native kids because of his legendary status. That's a connection for all Native kids that came after him in our community, self-included, that you can play this sport, you can do these things. Even if you're Native or you think you can't, Henry inspired us all. But Shogabay said what Boucher did after hockey might be even more important than his hockey success. He worked as Indian Education Director in Warroad schools and spent years advocating for Native students. Just being the champion for the education of not only Native kids, but the education of non-Natives to understand the history and the culture and the heritage of the Native Americans in this area. Shogabay said Boucher always stepped up to help when needed. As recently as this spring, he made the long trek from Warroad to the state capitol to testify before the House Education Finance Committee on a bill to ban Native American nicknames in schools. He opened with his own name. Henry Boucher, my Indian name is Ojibwe, which means warrior, he told the committee. Boucher proceeded to educate committee members on the history of Ojibwe people in northern Minnesota, explaining why the local schools should be able to use the warrior nickname. Our ancestors shed a lot of blood there at Warroad, and we certainly want to continue using and honoring the name in the future, he said. Teacher Dan Ninham will remember Boucher as a warrior, someone who always stood ready to help his people. Ninham is Oneida, now retired after 30 years teaching in Bemidji Min schools. He helped created the North American Indigenous Athletics Hall of Fame in 2022. Boucher was one of the first inductees. Ninham expected to see Boucher at this year's induction ceremony 2 weeks ago. And Henry was ready to go. And a few days before he texts me that unfortunately he could not attend due to illness. I talk as if he's here. I know he's gone. And he's on his journey. But Henry is a part of all of us. And he led an honorable life. You know, he has contributed so much to all of us. I'm a better person for knowing Henry Boucher. In Warroad, son Shogabay said Boucher's legacy will, of course, include his hockey exploits, but also his years of work to support Indian education. And Shogabay will remember a man who remained humble and kind. When you have that kind of legendary status, I think you could be a burden, but it seemed like he always had time for a picture for handshake for piece of advice, word of wisdom. In a Facebook post, Boucher's daughter said funeral arrangements are pending, but Henry Boucher's funeral will be held in Warroad, where his legend was born. Jess Myers, hockey writer for the Rink Live and the Forum Communications family of publications, and Warroad native, was a guest on Morning Edition to talk about Boucher's lasting impact on Minnesota. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s and playing youth hockey, I remember that the number 16. Nobody ever wore that on any of Warroad's teams, Maya said. Boucher was inducted into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame in 1995. Roger Whittaker, known for hits Durham Town and The Last Farewell, has died. He was 87. It is with great sadness we share the news of Roger's passing at age 87. His life, artistry, and legacy has meant so much to so many all over the world, reads a statement that his friend, Jesse Wagoner, posted on Whittaker's Facebook page on Monday. We are thankful that the gift of his music remains with us. U.s.A. Today has reached out to a representative for Whittaker for more information. A photo on the singer's website pays tribute to Whittaker, who was born in Nairobi, Kenya, to parents who hailed from Staffordshire, England, in 1936. The multilingual musician was known for his whistling and cultivated a passionate fan base in Germany over the course of his career after performing there in 1976. According to his website, he sang German, learning the language phonetically. After serving in the Kenya Regiment, Whittaker went into teaching in the 50s and sang in local clubs during that time. By the time he moved to the UK to study zoology, biochemistry and marine biology at the University of Bangor in Wales, he started writing his own songs. Faced with the dilemma of which career to choose, Roger sought the advice from his professor, reads Whittaker's bio on his website. Take your chance, he was advised. Have a try in show business, and if you haven't made it in 10 years, come back here and teach. I shall always have a place at the university for you. In the fall of 1969, Whittaker's record company released his song The Leavin', Durham Town, and it soon climbed the music charts. I just didn't have any faith in that song at all, Whittaker recalled. Far from promoting the single in Britain, I went off to Finland for a cabaret season and television appearances. By the time he returned in November, Durham Town was rapidly climbing the British charts. In 1971, Whittaker recorded one of his more popular songs, The Last Farewell. The song, written by a silversmith from Birmingham, England, broke down the barriers to success in America for Whittaker and opened up a vast new country for his music to explore, per his website. Irish Grinstead, member of R&B girl group 702, dies at 43. Pete Moffat, bright as packed up his Houston home, grabbed his 3-year-old twin boys, and headed to California for a new start. It was 1984, and he had ambitions to achieve. He took a leap of faith and never looked back, which led into a full life, free of regret. He left what he would have called the corporate rat race he was running in Houston and moved his family to Manhattan Beach, putting everything on the line. From there, he became a successful, well-known restaurateur and the catalyst for a popular holiday fireworks show in his adopted hometown. Moffat, indeed, met his goals and lived the way he wanted until his death this spring. Pete Moffat, who was born on November 12, 1947 in Alabama, was diagnosed with brain cancer in October and died from the disease on May 16, though his family only recently announced his death. He was 75. I've lived a good and happy life. I've been blessed, were his final words, as relayed by son Tom Moffat. I'm happy with what I've done with my life. The entrepreneurial-spirited Pete Moffat opened Manhattan Coolers Restaurant and Bar, between the Kettle and Hennessy's Tavern in the city's downtown area, the year he moved to Manhattan Beach. The establishment closed in 2003. What he loved most was family, cooking and food, especially the intersection of it all, the younger Moffat said. Cuisine and how food brought people together was what he loved most, the younger Moffat said about his father, remembering the coastal fare served at Manhattan Coolers. The elder Moffat made the restaurant into a community haven where friendships blossomed into family-like ties, the Moffat family wrote in a summary of his life. He was also an Air Force fighter pilot for some years before settling down in Houston. Yet, his most enduring legacy is the Manhattan Beach Holiday Fireworks show that happens on the second Sunday of December each year. In 1989, Pete Moffat and his wife, Gwen Moffat, formerly Gwen Greener, who he'd met upon moving to Manhattan Beach, realized that there wasn't a true community event that brought the city's businesses together during the holiday season, the younger Moffat said. Pete Moffat previously said that he created the holiday fireworks show after trying to bring back a childhood July 4 fireworks show that Gwen had said she'd missed in her hometown of Manhattan Beach. To the elder Moffat, his son said, "The heart of the fireworks show is for the people, a thank you to Manhattan Beach for embracing him and his ventures, while giving everyone the opportunity to gather in that grateful spirit." Although he grew up in Alabama, the younger Moffat added, his father considered Manhattan Beach his home. The fireworks tradition will continue in total Pete Moffat fashion, his son said. Tom and his brother Parker, who have been to every fireworks show since the tradition started when they were 8 years old, have now taken the reins on the event. "We are nothing but privileged and honored to get past the baton of this show to make sure it continues for the next 40 or 50 years, said Tom Moffat, now 42. "We're gonna take the way he ran it and continue that legacy with the same mindset and values Pete Moffat put into it." Tom Moffat, like his father, is adamant about keeping the show just like his father started it, a homegrown, locally organized and supported, community-centric event. "No one is going to try to change or remarket it," he said. "I'm going to follow his wishes and hopefully honor him in doing that." But with new rules from the Los Angeles Regional Water Quality Control Board regulating fireworks shows over oceans and other bodies of water, the holiday show's team will produce the most environmentally friendly event, said Tom Moffat, who has worked in environmental energy for 15 years. They've also hired an environmental consultant to make sure they understand and follow the new requirements, he added. No matter the obstacle, though, Pete Moffat's legacy will remain unchanged. And as for his death, it happened just as he lived, surrounded by family. Pete Moffat peacefully accepted his diagnosis. Tom Moffat said, "That was his mindset. His only wish was for this event to bring people together will continue into the future," the younger Moffat said. "My dad was an entrepreneur and a dreamer," he added, describing him further as a lover of community and bringing families together. "He put family and community first," he added, always thinking of a way to give back to the space that had poured into him. There may be a tribute around the time of the 35th annual holiday fireworks show to its late founder, Tom Moffat said, but it will be a small one, as his father was always focused on the community celebration rather than himself. The family, he added, looks forward to honoring his life with the community through this year's show on December 10.